Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Shauna Dingman, and today is a perfect day to talk about sun and sunscreen. So, what I get is a lot of patients asking me whether or not I think that the sun is safe, and what do we do in our family about sun safety and about sunscreen versus sunblock. They're really common questions, and they're great questions to ask. So, I thought what I would do is just clear up some of the misconceptions that are out there and give you my 4 top tips for your family's safety in the sun and talk about the difference between sunblock and sunscreen. So the first thing that I want to clear up is as healthcare practitioners, I know a lot of you're worried about whether or not you're going to get skin cancer later on, and how do we prevent that? As a healthcare practitioner, I will just tell you that none of us actually knows the answer. So if people are giving you, this is what you need to do, I'm just going to tell you right now, none of us actually knows. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to things like cancer, your health history and your genetic makeup and your habits make all the difference. And you and I could both do the same things, and one of us be perfectly healthy later on in life and the other one not. So what I can tell you is what we do know, and I can tell you what the best practices are out there. And then with anything to do with healthcare, you are your own best doctor, and you are your kid's best doctor. You need to decide based on your family and your children what's going to be best for you. So let me share with you a couple of the things that we do know about the sun. First of all, when you think about it, inherently the sun is a great thing. We don't need to be afraid of the sun. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are really scaring people into staying indoors and being covered up with sunscreen all the time. Let's remember that the sun gives life to everything on this planet, including us. We don't need to be afraid of the sun. The sun is so important. And who isn't happier when it's sunny out? It elevates our mood. The other thing that sun does that is so important is it helps our bodies create vitamin D. Let me just take a minute to tell you about vitamin D, because I think it's one of the most important substances that are made in our body. Vitamin D is a cell normalizer. It helps tell a cell how to be healthy, and if a cell can't be healthy, like if it was going to become malignant, it's supposed to tell a cell how to die. So vitamin D production is so important, and that's actually one of the things that sun does. So without getting into a whole discussion about vitamin D, the sun is important for you to be able to create vitamin D naturally, so we don't need to be afraid of it. That being said, a lot of us burn from the sun, and I'm one of those people. I don't burn easily, but I do burn. My daughter has very sensitive skin. She burns easily. My husband is one of those freckly guys, so he has a tendency to burn. And my 2 boys and I, we tan, but if we're in the sun long enough, we're gonna burn. Burning is bad. Anything that makes your skin red and painful, that's your body's way of telling you to stop doing it. So that is your body's signal that you've had too much and you need to avoid that behavior. So it's like anything, too much of any good thing becomes a bad thing. So you need to know what your burn threshold is, and you need to stay well away from it. And it's going to be different for you versus your spouse versus your kids. Everybody has a different burn threshold. And as your kids start to get older, it's a lot harder to keep an eye on what their burn threshold is. So we just have to try and do our best to teach them habits as much as possible, so that when they're off on their own, they're either at, friends playing, or they get older, they will recreate those habits. But if we tell them the why behind it, they're more likely to keep the habits that we teach them. Okay, so the first thing is the sun is a great thing, but in large quantities, it is bad. So you don't want to burn. People always ask me, is tanning bad? Well, again, it kind of depends. The reason that we tan is created by melatonin in our skin, which is something that we were designed with when we were born. It's a pigment that comes up in our skin in response to tan, and it's like nature's natural sunscreen within us. So it's a good thing that we have tan. Again, I don't think it's a great idea to try and get as dark as possible, because typically people will be running on that threshold of burning. And I do know a lot of people, especially when I was growing up, we used to burn so that it would turn into tan. That's a bad habit. As far as sunblock versus sunscreen, so people will always ask me, what's the difference between sunblock and sunscreen? So here's the way I think of it. Sunblock is a mineral product that is placed into the lotion. So it's either titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. It is a natural mineral that when it's placed on your skin, it reflects the rays of the sun. So you're not accepting those sun's rays into your skin. In my opinion, and again, you've got to decide for you, if we can get away with it, this is the healthiest form of sunblock that our family uses. The other option is what we call sunscreen. So sunscreen versus sunblock. Sunscreen is the chemical agent suntan lotions that we mostly all grew up with, where they use chemicals in order to trap, they always used to say on commercials, the harmful rays of the sun. So it's things like Mexerol and Parcel 1789 and avobenzone. Those chemicals are used to trap the UVA and UVB rays of the sun. My question is, well, if it traps those harmful rays in your skin, how does it dissipate them? Where does that harmful energy go? That's what I don't like about it. And I don't think that any of our research is really doing a great job at showing us the actual safety levels of, actually they tell us that those chemicals are unsafe. As far as whether or not it's going to protect us from skin cancer, I still think the jury is out there. There are a lot of countries that have high uses of sunscreen that also have the highest levels of skin cancer. So I'm not convinced that that is the safest way to do it. However, I will tell you this. If we have to be out on the boat all day, for example, where we can't get away from the sun, there's no shade, or say we go to Canada's Wonderland where you just can't get away from it, I am more likely to burn if I use sunblock, which is the titanium dioxide or zinc oxide, than I am if I use a sunscreen. So when you ask me whether or not you should use sunscreen or sunblock, my answer to you would be, I prefer sunblock. However, more important, I prefer not to burn. So if I can't use sunblock, or if I use sunblock and yet I'm gonna burn, that's when I'll opt for the sunscreen. So we don't use it often in our family, that's a last resort, but we definitely have sunscreen in our house and we use it when we're gonna be out for prolonged periods and we know we just can't get away from it. So that's the difference between sunblock and sunscreen. And again, you have to decide for your family what's gonna work best based on your children's skin makeup, your skin makeup, and how long you're gonna be in the sun. So here are my 4 great tips for sun safety. The first is I always use sunblock on my hands and my face. Why? Because the skin is very, very thin. It's going to be much more prone to sun damage. So although I don't always I don't have sunscreen on my arms and legs right now because I'm kind of in and out of the sun. I'm not sitting in the sun, but I do have it on my hands and on my face. And that's something I do first thing in the morning. So I recommend during the sunny months of the year, always have sunblock on your face and on your hands. The second tip is be conscious of how much time you're going to be spending in the sun. Kind of know ahead of time and keep your sunblock or your sunscreen with you. Throw it in your purse, throw it in your diaper bag, just so that you're never caught, I want to say with your pants down, but you know what I mean, right? You're never caught without it and your kids are burning and you're thinking, oh no, and I don't have my sunblock or my sunscreen. Try and plan ahead and just make sure that you've always got some with you somewhere. The third thing is, like I was saying before, choose if it's a sunblock or a sunscreen day. I think it's best to just have both with you, but know based on your time period and your skin's makeup, how fair you are or how dark you are, whether or not you can get away with sunblock or sunscreen and choose appropriately. And the last thing is choose clothing or accessories that can help you with this. So if I have the choice between putting sunblock on my skin or putting on a nice long sleeve light cotton shirt, I'm gonna opt for the light cotton shirt. Why? Because it's just more natural. I don't like to have to put anything on my skin if I don't have to. So That's one of the things we'll do if we're out in the boat for a long time, for example. I might put sunblock on my skin and then cover with a long sleeve shirt. My husband always wears a pair of, actually they're medical scrub pants, old scrub pants, really, really thin cotton pants. He always wears them when we're out on the dock for the day or out in the boat for the day, because to me, that's the best sunscreen. It's the most natural. You know, sit in shade if you can. It's a really stinking hot day out here right now. I'm perfectly fine in the shade. I would much rather be in the shade than in the sun. When it comes to a hat, you know, if we're going to be out in the sun for long periods of time, always have a hat. And you know, ladies, you got to get over the whole hat head thing. One of the things that I said to my family a long time ago, in my family, when you go out for dinner or you're sitting at the dinner table, you always take your hat off. It's a sign of respect. So one of the things I've done is I've said to the family, hey, you know what? I'm going to wear my hat for sunshade all day. It really does a number on my hair. So not that I don't want to respect anybody, but I don't want to take my hat off at dinner time. Otherwise, I'm much less likely to wear the hat if I think that it's going to make me look yucky at dinner. It's a vanity thing, but the hats are really important. And gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. If you are used to wearing hats like this, the kind with the holes in them, or ladies, if your husbands wear them, if they have thinning hair on top or if they're kind of bald, these are not the hats that you want for sun. And you'll be amazed when you go and you pay attention to it now, how many of your husbands wear those hats as a way of protecting their head. This is the kind of hat that you want, the solid fibers. Otherwise, the sun's getting through. Ladies, I love mineral foundation. I love it all year, but I especially love it during the summer. So this is foundation, but it's not cream chemical foundation. It has zinc in it that is designed to give a base layer of sun protection. They say that it's about the equivalent of an SPF 8. So I put my sunscreen on in the morning, or my sunblock I put on in the morning. Then if I'm going to wear foundation, and I don't always during the summer, I'm going to use a mineral powder foundation just to get that added bit of sunblock. And you can also use this on your hands. What else? Swim shirts for kids. Those swim shirts are awesome. You can get them for kids, for teens, for adults. They're pretty funky out there. They are a great way of just making sure that your kids have an extra layer of protection in the water, and our kids always had them when they were younger. A little more difficult to get them on them when they're older, but they're there, and I've actually started wearing one often too. And the other thing is sunglasses. Protect your eyes from the sun. It's really important. And summer is a time where you really want to get the big shades going. You want to have as much protection as you possibly can. The other thing is, if you can choose a sunglass where it kind of comes around, the band is wide and comes around toward the ear, it keeps the sun from sneaking in the back and reflecting off the front of your sunglasses into your eyes. So anything that you can do to just give that added layer of protection, but at the same time, remembering that there are a lot of really great healthy things about being in the sun. Just like anything, do it wisely. I'm Dr. Shauna Dingman. Have a great day.